Most people think bad sleep comes from stress, too much coffee, or just bad luck. But the truth is, sleep is never just sleep. It's a mirror of your brain, your body, and even the way you live your day. Maybe you notice this. You want to sleep, but your mind won't switch off. Or you fall asleep quickly but wake up at 3 a.m. with racing thoughts. Or you get 8 hours but wake up exhausted anyway. In this masterclass, we are going to explore why that happens and what science says you can do about it. We'll look at how your brain and mental health influence sleep, the small daily habits like screens, alcohol, and boundaries that quietly sabotage your nights. My name is Dr. Georgia Brunner. I'm a psychiatrist and psychotherapist, and I work every day with people whose sleep is disrupted, not just by stress, but by depression, anxiety, trauma, and even the way they set or don't set boundaries in daily life. I also know this personally. I've had my own struggles with sleep, and I've seen how exhausting it is to try everything and still feel like nothing works. That's why I've spent years studying not only psychiatry and therapy, but also micronutrients, supplements, lifestyle medicine, and the science of habits, because real solutions come from combining evidence, experience, and the human side of sleep. Here's what we're going to talk about today: mental health and sleep, how depression, anxiety shape your nights, tiny habits that wreck your sleep, day to day life patterns like boundaries or dysfunctional environments that keep your nervous system stuck in stress mode, somatic conditions like apnea, restless legs, pain, hormones, and more. And finally, solutions, practical strategies, lifestyle shifts, supplements, when to see a sleep doctor. When people think of depression, they often imagine sadness, but one of the most consistent painful signs of depression is sleep disturbance. It can show up in two very different ways: insomnia, struggling to fall asleep, waking up too early, or waking frequently through the night, and hypersomnia, sleeping 10 to 12 hours and still feeling exhausted. One classic pattern in depression is early morning waking. Someone goes to bed at 10 or 11 p.m., falls asleep, but wakes at 4 a.m. with a heavy feeling in the chest, unable to fall back asleep. This isn't just coincidence. Research shows it's linked to cortisol dysregulation. Cortisol, the stress hormone, should peak gently in the morning and help you rise with energy. In depression, the timing gets skewed and it wakes you too early, flooding you with heaviness instead of energy. I once had a patient who came to me saying, "Doctor, I don't know what's wrong with me. Every morning at 4 a.m., I wake with this sense of dread. I thought it was bad luck, but it wasn't bad luck. It was depression announcing itself through sleep." And here's the vicious cycle: depression disrupts sleep, and poor sleep deepens depression. This is why addressing sleep is not secondary, it's central to treatment. Anxiety and sleep are like oil and water. When you lie down at night, the body wants to downshift. Your heart rate should slow, your nervous system should drift into parasympathetic mode, what we call rest and digest. But in anxiety, the opposite happens. The nervous system stays in hyperarousal, heart racing, muscle tight, thoughts circling. Instead of drifting off, your body acts like there's danger in the room. Many people with anxiety experience the bedtime paradox. They feel tired all day, but the moment their head hits the pillow, their mind explodes with racing thoughts. That's the fight or flight system refusing to switch off. Some even experience nocturnal panic attacks, waking suddenly with a pounding heart, gasping for air, convinced something terrible is happening. It's terrifying, but it's also the nervous system overshooting at night. And again, the circle is cruel because anxiety disrupts the sleep, and the sleep loss worsens anxiety. For people with trauma, sleep is often the hardest part of life. Trauma wires the brain to be hypervigilant. Even when you lie in bed, the body scans for danger. The creak of a floorboard, the hum of the fridge, the slightest movement. Instead of releasing into safety, the body acts like it's in a war zone. Nightmares are also common, particularly during sleep. For many trauma survivors, the sleep becomes not a place of integration, but a place of terror. That's why some trauma patients dread falling asleep because sleep doesn't feel like rest. And here's something important: when trauma blocks deep sleep, it also blocks healing. Research shows that the REM sleep helps process emotional memories. Without it, trauma loops replay endlessly. In bipolar disorder, sleep is not just a symptom, it's often the first warning sign of mania. A patient may tell you, I only need 3 hours of sleep and I feel fantastic. But instead of being a gift, that loss of sleep is the spark of an episode. Monitoring sleep is one of the best early indicators of mood swings. In ADHD, the story is different. Many people with ADHD have delayed sleep phase syndrome. Their brains are wired to stay up late and struggle in the morning. Circadian rhythms are irregular and routines often collapse. Add in impulsivity, scrolling, gaming, stimulation at night, and sleep becomes chaotic. Without proper rhythm, both focus and mood suffer deeply. But not all sleep problems are tied to mental health. Some are primary sleep illnesses, and they often get overlooked, like sleep paralysis. You wake up, but your body is still frozen in paralysis. It feels terrified, like being trapped in your own body, sometimes with hallucinations. It's more common in people with disrupted sleep, PTSD, and narcolepsy. Narcolepsy is a neurological condition where the brain can't regulate sleep wake cycles. People suddenly fall asleep during the day or sleep straight into REM phase sleep. It's rare but life altering and often mistaken for laziness. Parasomnias: there are unusual behaviors during sleep, like sleepwalking, sleep talking, or even acting out of dreams. They occur when the brain is caught between sleep stages. Stress, alcohol, and sleep deprivation all make them worse. Circadian rhythm disorders. Some people are night owls to the extreme. Their internal clock runs hours later than the rest of the world. This isn't just preference, it's a biological rhythm disorder. So when someone says, I just can't sleep, the question is never simple. Is it depression, anxiety, trauma, bipolar, ADHD, or is it a primary sleep disorder like apnea, restless legs, or sleep paralysis? As you can see, sleep is a window into the brain, and understanding the cause is the first step to healing the night. So, tiny habits during the day. Let's start with the big one: screens. We've all been there, lying in bed, phone glowing inches from our face, telling ourselves just one more scroll. Here's the problem: your brain has an ancient system for sleep. When the sun goes down, darkness signals the pineal gland to release melatonin, the hormone that tells your body it's nighttime. But the blue light from screens mimics daylight. It tricks your brain into thinking it's still 2 p.m. and melatonin production gets suppressed. One study showed that just 2 hours of iPad use before bed delayed melatonin release by almost an hour and a half. That means your body clock is shifted even if you put the device away. And it's not just the light, it's the content. Doom scrolling, emails, TikTok, all of it activates your emotional brain. The amygdala fires up, and instead of calming down, your body prepares for action. So it's not just about sleep delay, it's about nervous system activation at the worst possible time. Now, let's talk about alcohol. A glass of wine at night feels relaxing. People often say it helps me fall asleep, and that part is true. Alcohol is sedating. But sedation is not sleep. Alcohol fragments your sleep architecture. It suppresses REM sleep, the stage where your brain consolidates memories and regulates emotions. That's why after drinking, you may sleep 8 hours and still wake up foggy, irritable, and anxious. Worse, alcohol causes micro awakenings you don't always remember. The body shifts out of deep sleep into lighter stages, leaving you unrested. And here's the kicker: alcohol is a rebound trigger. After the sedative effect wears off, the nervous system rebounds into hyperarousal. That's why many people wake up at 3 or 4 a.m. after drinking. Heart racing, mind is active. So, yes, alcohol helps you fall asleep faster, but it steals the quality of your sleep all night long. Caffeine and nicotine are socially accepted stimulants. Caffeine doesn't just keep you awake, it literally blocks adenosine, the molecule that builds up pressure to sleep. Imagine adenosine as sand in an hourglass. The more that piles up, the sleepier you get. Caffeine flips the glass upside down, making your brain think it's not tired. Here's what most people don't realize: the half life of caffeine is 6 hours. That means if you have a coffee at 4 p.m., half of it is still active in your brain at 10 p.m. And for some people, even morning coffee lingers into the night. Nicotine is just as sneaky. It's a stimulant that raises heart rate and alertness. But here's the twist: in smokers, withdrawal symptoms kick in overnight, causing restless, fragmented sleep. Finally, one of the most overlooked habits: inconsistency. Your brain craves a rhythm. It thrives on regularity, but in modern life, we sabotage the clock constantly, staying up late on weekends, sleeping in, then forcing ourselves up early on Monday. This creates what scientists call social jet lag. It's the same feeling as flying across time zones, except you never leave your bedroom. Even a shift of 2-3 hours can throw off your circadian rhythm. And the result is not just fatigue, it's metabolic stress, mood instability, and increased risk of depression. So here's the takeaway: it's not always the big things that ruin your sleep. Often it's the small daily choices: the phone in bed, the evening glass of wine, the late night coffee, the weekend schedule shift. Each one seems harmless, but together they chip away at the architecture of your sleep. And the good news, because these are small habits, there's also the easiest to change. Switch off the screen an hour earlier. Move your last coffee to the morning. Try a regular bedtime. Tiny choices, tiny shifts, they add up to better nights. And beyond these shifts, there are the classic but powerful foundations of sleep hygiene. Keep your bedroom cool, they say. I personally cannot keep it cool. I have to have like a middle temperature where I am not too cold and not too warm. Also, keep your bedroom dark and quiet. Think of it like a cave. Your brain sleeps best in that environment. Reserve your bed for sleep and intimacy only. If you can't sleep after 20 minutes, get up, do something calm, and return only when sleepy. This retrains your brain not to associate the bed with frustration. Build an evening ritual, even something small like dimming the lights or journaling in the same order. Repetition signals safety to the nervous system. Your body temperature naturally drops at night as part of the circadian rhythm. That drop signals to your brain time to sleep. If your bedroom bedroom is too warm, your body struggles to release heat and you stay restless. That's why a cool bedroom, usually around 19-20 degrees Celsius, I personally need it a little bit warmer, like 21-22 degrees. But this helps you fall asleep faster and also stay asleep. Light is the master control of your circadian rhythm. Even a tiny amount of light, like from a street lamp or your phone charger, can suppress melatonin. Darkness tells your brain it's safe to release melatonin and move into deep sleep. That's why blackout curtains or even a simple sleep mask can make such a huge difference. Noise doesn't always wake you up completely, but it fragments your sleep. Sudden sounds push you into lighter stages, so you miss the deep restorative cycles. The brain never fully lets go if it's on alert. That's why silence, white noise, or earplugs can protect your sleep continuity. So when we say your bedroom should be cool, dark, and quiet, it's not just a slogan, it's biology. Cool keeps your body follow its natural temperature rhythm, dark protects your melatonin, quiet protects your deep sleep cycles. Together, these conditions create a safe container for your nervous system to finally let go. People always say, I can't sleep because I'm stressed. But stress is not the root, stress is the symptom. What often keeps people in chronic stress is deeper than that. Like, for example, poor communication, biting your tongue, swallowing your feelings, never saying what you need, lack of boundaries, saying yes when you mean no, being available 24/7. People pleasing, living for others, approval, or at the cost of your own rest. So it's not the stress itself, it's the traps we stay in that prevent stress from ever resolving. Boundaries in sleep are very important. Your nervous system needs signals of safety to downshift into sleep. If you're answering emails at midnight, replaying a fight, or still managing other people's needs, your brain doesn't register nighttime. It registers unfinished business. So that's why boundaries aren't just about time management, they are sleep medicine. A clear boundary like I don't check messages after 9 p.m. tells your body the day is gone, you are safe to rest. Without boundaries, your nervous system never gets the off switch. People pleasing is one of the most sleep killing habits I see. You say yes all day long, you suppress frustration, you go along with what others want. And at night, your brain finally processes everything you didn't say. That's why the inner critic gets so loud at 2 a.m. The thoughts you avoid by day become the thoughts that steal your night. This is why overthinking is often not a random problem, it's the echo of unsaid words and unmet needs. And sometimes it's not you, it's the environment you're in. A job that disrespects limits, a relationship that runs on conflict, a family system that pulls you back into chaos. And if you sleep next to stress, your body knows it. This is why sleep problems often persist until people begin to change their environment, or at least the way they relate to it. Here's the science. Sleep depends on your parasympathetic nervous system, the calm branch, but unresolved conflict, weak boundaries, people-pleasing, or toxic environments keep you stuck in sympathetic mode, fight or flight mode. And the body cannot sleep in fight or flight. It's biologically incompatible. That's why dealing with stress isn't just about relaxation techniques. It's about addressing the structures in your life that keep the stress switch turned on. So if you struggle to sleep, don't just ask, how do I reduce stress? Ask instead, where am I not communicating? Where am I lacking boundaries? Where am I pleasing others at the cost of myself? Where am I stuck in environments that keep me unsafe? Because the foundation of good sleep isn't just a dark, cool room, it's a life that feels safe enough to let go. In apnea, your airway collapses while you sleep. Your body wakes you microseconds at a time to gasp for air. You often don't remember it, but your sleep cycle is shattered. The signs are subtle: loud snoring, waking up choking, morning headaches, or extreme daytime fatigue. Partners often notice it before the patient does. Why does this matter? So, untreated apnea increases risk of depression, anxiety, hypertension, and even dementia. And here's the kicker: many people live with it for years, blaming stress without even realizing it's their airway. The solution is a medical evaluation. Another silent sleep thief is restless leg syndrome. It feels like crawling, tingling, or an irresistible urge to move your legs, especially at night. The moment you try to rest, your legs refuse. And what's fascinating is that restless legs often connect to iron deficiency. So I've seen patients treated with endless sleeping pills when all they needed was iron support. For patients with chronic pain, sleep becomes a battlefield. Pain signals fire at night, interrupting sleep stages. The body never drops into restorative rest, and poor sleep in turn amplifies pain sensitivity. It creates a cruise cycle. Breaking the cycle requires a combination of pain management and sleep strategies, sometimes behavioral therapy, sometimes gentle exercise, sometimes medication. But the key message is pain and sleep are partners. If you treat one without the other, neither improves fully. Sleep is also heavily influenced by hormones. Perimenopause and menopause, hot flashes, night sweats, and shifting estrogen progesterone levels cause fragmented sleep. Also, thyroid disorders, hyperthyroidism creates restlessness, and also cortisol imbalance, chronic stress, or adrenal dysregulation shifts natural rhythms, keeping you wired at night or exhausted in the morning. Hormones aren't excuses, they're regulators. When they shift, sleep shifts too. And recognizing that link helps patients stop blaming themselves. Some sleep struggles aren't about stress or illness, but about the internal clock itself. Delayed sleep phase, night owls who naturally can't sleep before 2 a.m. and struggle in the morning. Advanced sleep phase, early birds who fall asleep at 7 p.m. and wake up at 3 a.m. Shift work disorders, people forced to work against a body clock, nurses, doctors, factory workers who often develop chronic insomnia like symptoms. These aren't personal failures, they're circadian rhythm disorders. Sometimes poor sleep isn't about mindset or habits, it's also about biology. Airways collapse, restless legs, chronic pain, hormone shifts, or a misaligned body clock. Too many people spend years blaming themselves when the problem is physiological all along. That's why when people talk about sleep, we must look at the whole picture: the mind, the habits, and the body, because sleep is a team sport and every system plays a role. By now, you've seen that sleep problems have many faces, from depression to screens, from people pleasing to apnea, and that means there isn't one magic fix. Sleep improves when we approach it in layers. For patients with depression, anxiety, PTSD, or bipolar disorder, addressing mental health is central. For depression and anxiety, teaching relaxation training, grounding exercises is very important. For PTSD and nightmares, rehearsal, imaginary therapy is also very important. It can reduce the intensity of dream content. Also, medication is here given for nightmares. For bipolar disorders, strict sleep routines are essential. Also, taking medication if needed. But the goal is always use medicine to stabilize while building skills that last. Sleep hygiene is the ground floor of good sleep. So, digital sunset, no screens an hour before bed, or at least shift them to night mode. Cool, dark, quiet before bedroom, because body temperature, melatonin, and arousal all depend on environment. Caffeine cut off, consistent schedule, anchor your wake up time, and get 10 minutes of natural morning light. Now, let's talk about the psychological roots. If you're always saying yes, never expressing needs, or living in toxic environments, your nervous system stays in fight or flight. No amount of lavender tea will override that. Solutions here involve communication training, practicing small no's and direct expression of needs, boundary setting, creating digital curfews, work cut-offs, or protected evening hours. Stress reset rituals, journaling your worries before bed, writing down tomorrow's tasks, or practicing gratitude lists to shift mental focus. These aren't just mental exercises, they tell your nervous system the day is over, you are safe, you can let go. And you need to practice so you can feel safe. Some sleep problems will not improve until you treat the body directly. Sleep apnea, if you snore loudly, wake, choking, or feel exhausted despite long nights, see a sleep specialist. A sleep study can diagnose apnea. Treatments range from CPAP to dental devices, and they transform quality of life. Restless leg syndrome, get iron levels checked. Sometimes iron supplements or specific medications can dramatically reduce symptoms. Chronic pain and fibromyalgia, gentle stretching, pain management, and sometimes nighttime medications can help break the cycle. Hormonal conditions in perimenopausal thyroid disease, work with your doctor to balance hormones. Circadian rhythm disorders, use light therapy in the morning, darkness at night, and sometimes melatonin in small, carefully timed doses. And remember, if your sleep feels severely disrupted, unrefreshing, or dangerous to your health, it's not a die problem. Seeing a sleep specialist is not a failure, it's wisdom. Sleep medicine is a field for a reason. Some evidence based supplements can support sleep, especially when layered onto good foundations, like magnesium, helps relax muscles and calm the nervous system. Omega 3 fatty acids, ashwagandha, melatonin, but this is something you can have to use not in long term. These are not replacements for therapy or medical evaluation, but they can create stability for the nervous system. So let's bring it together. If you're struggling with sleep, remember it's never just one thing. It might be mental health, daily habits, boundaries, physical conditions, or all of the above. That's why the solution must be layered. Starts with the basic, like sleep hygiene, built on it boundaries, stress, resets, communication, look deeper, mental health and medical evaluation. And if you're unsure, don't guess. Reach out to a sleep specialist or your doctor, because the moment you identify the true cause, change is possible. Sleep isn't a luxury, it's your body's repair system, your body's reset, your immune system ally. When you restore sleep, you restore yourself, and that journey starts tonight with one small step. If this masterclass was helpful, subscribe to this channel for more science-based tools on psychiatry, lifestyle, and brain health.